You're listening to the iterators of the Imperium.
Hi, I'm MEZ, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Ryan, and you're listening to Season Quinky of the Iterators of the Imperium podcast, the podcast in which Ryan is the expert on Warhammer 40K, and I am an intermediate, trying to learn about the Warhammer universe. And we're talking about orcs, Ghazghkull Thraka, Gork and Mork, and yeah. Well,
you can name one more orc.
What? What was that guy? The big guy. We started at the beginning with like the big ass guy who got hit butted to the ground, and the rest who had to fight Gork and Mork. Ghazghkull Thraka for when he was gathering his troops, as per se, his following. Right? He was headbutting everybody, left, right, and center.
Yeah, that's kind of what it does.
I'm not good with names,
though. I can't
though.
remember the name of one other orc, though.
No, because I'm very bad at names, Ryan. But you know
also,
this. But I
orc
remember
names all sound
events.
kind of the same.
I could just say Urk. Wait, that's probably a name. I don't know.
It's probably one of them, to be fair. Just a matter of time, man.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It took 7 episodes for me to not laugh at you saying 5 in land.
Quinky. I forgot to say. For the people who doesn't know, we're in season 5, or in Latin, season Quinky.
Which, I'm waiting for someone to comment and be like, that's not even close to how you pronounce that.
Nah, it is. It is, Ryan. We have established, I know Latin.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. Man speaks a dead language.
I know how to say substantive as well. Like, verbum. Mm-hmm. No, alright, let's get into the episode, Ryan. We are just talking out our ass right now.
Yeah, we do that a lot.
It's good though. It's fine. I think people enjoy it.
So, as you'll probably remember from last time, we were looking at this world called Armageddon that Ghazghkull was trying to have his way with, for lack of a better term. So, where we left off was the Space Marines had just arrived and, beat one of Ghazghkull's armies for the first time in an actual battle outside one of the hives. And kind of at the same time, Ghazghkull's still pummeling his head against the walls of Hades up in the north, trying to get to this Commisar Yarrick that is kind of dubbed him as his rival now. He's kind of Ghazghkull's reason to live at this point. So he needs to kill Yarrick. But that's been going on for so long that Hades has now ran out of food. So people are starting to starve to death.
Not good. Oh shit.
Yeah. Right, but while all this has been going on, while this whole war has been going on, and Ghazghkull's been running head first at the walls of Hades Hive over and over, Ghazghkull's been struggling, right? He's been gradually getting more and more into this kind of stated despondency. See, like, a good example is, how he used to get the headaches? That he would just punch himself in the head till it went away. Usually he'd come away with an answer. So it was like Gork and Mork's way of talking to him. That's still happening, except there's no answer at the end of it. He doesn't feel like the gods are there anymore. He's still getting the headaches, but he's not getting any answers from it. So he starts to think that the gods have, abandoned him, like they've lost faith in him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's spent so much time throwing himself at the walls of Hades and making no progress that he's lost momentum. He's lost heart. He doesn't have, the drive to keep going anymore. Which is quite sad. Honestly, he's just he loses his faith in the gods, or at least feels that the gods have lost their faith in him because he can't make progress with this.
Yeah.
So Ghazghkull gets quite depressed. Which is quite sad. But he does keep at it. He doesn't stop because he's depressed. He keeps going. He keeps leading his troops against Hades. And the whole time he is doing this, the Space Marines are taking back hive cities all over the map.
Yeah.
Because the Ork armies are gradually getting kind of routed in all the different locations and being pushed back. So the numbers of the Orks are dropping drastically and very quickly. And Ghazghkull's still just running at Hades over and over, just desperate to make some kind of progress. And eventually Ghazghkull does manage to break the walls of Hades and get inside. But by this point, the Ork armies are pretty decimated, and when he does get inside, Yarrick manages to escape.
Oh.
So he manages to break Hades, but he doesn't even manage to kill his rival. So all it really helps to do is push Ghazghkull further into this like state of depression. That even what little progress he does make is fruitless. There was no benefit to it.
It's just pointless.
Yes. Aye.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, around this point, the war is, by all stretches of the imagination, over. The Orks have lost this war already, even though it's still being waged.
Yeah.
Because Ork numbers are dwindling, and Ghazghkull just did not have the drive to lead them anymore. But Ghazghkull was not done, right? Because what's the right word for this? I was going to say determination, but I don't think it's that. Spite, maybe? Basically, he ain't leaving unless he can, fuck the humans up a little bit more. So
vengeful.
Huh?
Vengeful, is that the word?
That's a good word, yes. Aye, vengeful, spiteful, something in there, aye.
Yeah. Holding a grudge.
So, Ghazghkull was done with Armageddon for now. But he wasn't done overall, right? He wasn't given up. He was just done with this planet for now.
Yeah.
So he does what Makari calls a BloodAxe Goodbye. A BloodAxe Goodbye is when you're drinking with your friends in a bar, and you like stand up and you're like, "Out lads, I'll get the next round in after I go to the bathroom." And then you go to the bathroom and then you just leave without saying anything to them or paying for anything.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is a good way to do it.
Yeah, it is. Very in style.
Yeah. So that's essentially what Ghazghkull does. He rounds up all of the remaining Orks and he's like, look, there's only one human city left. And it's Hive Tartarus, right? For the record, he picked Tartarus by dropping a knife onto his battle map of the planet. He just picked a random Hive city. So he was like, it's Hive Tartarus, it's the last one. We take that, we've won. We've taken over the planet.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. And he basically just convinces them that they just need to do one big final assault on Hive Tartarus, and if they take it, they've won. So all the Orks get all riled up. Which, to be fair, they need it, because the Orks have been noticing that something's not quite right as well. It's not just Ghazghkull that's not been feeling right, it's everyone. Because Ghazghkull losing faith means that the army starts to lose faith, right? So, guns have been running out of ammo faster, tanks and stuff have been blowing up, things like that, right? Even things that were painted red didn't move as fast as they used to, right? The WoW magic starts to dissipate as the leader starts to lose faith. So they knew what was going on to a degree, subconsciously at least. But with this big speech that Ghazghkull gives them about Hive Tartarus being the last one, they all get kind of riled up again, and they happily charge off to their deaths. They all head straight for Hive Tartarus, ready to go.
Oh, I mean, knowing they're gonna die, but yeah.
Well, no, they don't know they're gonna die. They think they've got this.
Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, they don't got this at all, but they think they've got this.
You know what? I think they got it too.
Yeah. Solidarity.
Yeah.
So while that's going on, Ghazghkull rounds up all the leaders that he took command of back on Urk. He also gathers up Makari and Grotsnik, the doctor they put them back together, gets on a spaceship and sods off out to Armageddon. Just leaves all his dudes behind. He's like, you guys have got this. Gone out for some milk. I'll be back, don't worry.
Don't worry, I'll be back 100%, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nope.
So they just fucked off into space away from Armageddon and left the Orks to die at Tartarus.
Bruh.
Now, obviously, Ghazghkull has to keep the Ork leaders on his side, the ones that he's got with it, right? So he kind of gives them all a bit of a speech, because he's got into speeches. He started to like speeches recently.
Okay.
And he explains that this was not the end of their rampage. It was just the beginning. It was a test run, if you will. Right?
Yeah.
And that they're going to be back for Armageddon. Very much that, the Grot saying that I told you about hide now, stab him tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? That's the idea. And this is where we get to, like, the secret of the Second War for Armageddon that you don't get on the human side, right? On the human side, they will tell you that the Second War for Armageddon was won because of the strength of the Space Marines, or because of the tenacity of Commissar Yarrick holding them back at Hades Hive. The secret to the Second War for Armageddon is that the Orks got the snot beaten out of them because Ghazghkull lost heart. That's all it was. It's the only reason.
It's kind of sad.
It's quite sad. It's worse when you, like, read the books, because you're like, man, this is... I feel bad for this guy. I feel bad for this, like, 14-foot-tall green monster. Does he need a cuddle? Like...
Oh, yeah, he must have been big, like, in the end, right?
Yeah, he's gigantic.
Oh, yeah, we have shown pictures, actually, what I believe. Like, we showed
yeah, he is
before
an
and afters.
absolute monster.
He's tank, yeah. And I feel bad for him. You sweet little poor thing.
I know, right? You're doing great, sweetie. So, in the short time after Ghazghkull and his boys fucked off of Armageddon, Makari goes to talk to Ghazghkull, right? He kind of finally gets up the bottle, whatever you want to call it, to go and actually talk to Ghazghkull, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to remember, Grots are, by biological definition, below Orks. They are not allowed to talk to them in certain ways and stuff like that. Makari's finally like, you know what, I need to go talk to him about this. So he goes talk to him. And he's trying to raise his spirits. He's trying to get Ghazghkull to act like Ghazghkull again, to believe in Ghazghkull again, right? And he, like, points out all the amazing things that Ghazghkull has done so far. Uniting Ork, taking over the other, like, the Ork clans, wrangling and commandeering a Space Hulk, killing a Bloodthirster, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, but you're doing, you know, the old Grot saying of hype they stab him tomorrow with Armageddon, right? We're going to come back and do this again. And through all of this, all it does is make Ghazghkull angry. See, Orks don't take counsel from Grots. And the fact that Makari thinks that he can come and talk to Ghazghkull like this level of familiarity, makes Ghazghkull think that he's not acting like a real Ork.
Yeah.
Right? And the rage that Ghazghkull feels about this is quite severe. And he points out that he thought that having Makari by his side as, like, a sign of the gods. Because you got to remember, Makari is not this one Grot. It is whatever Grot that Ghazghkull decides to make into Makari. It actually is like a spiritual transformation, right?
Yeah.
From the gods. Ghazghkull was like, I thought having you by my side as a sign of the gods was a good thing. But I'm realizing now it's not. You're not a strength, you're a weakness having you here. And with, like, a final phrase from Ghazghkull that's, you tell Gork and Mork I'll be alright without them. He kills Makari. Bursts his little head.
Well, only the Ork behind it, right? The Makari is still, you know, still there.
Yes, he kills the Grot that is Makari at this point, yes.
Yeah, but it is more like a statement, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. He's renouncing the gods, basically, in this moment. No longer the prophet of Gork and Mork. Which is quite sad. And as far as we're concerned, that is the end of the Second War for Armageddon.
Hmm.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah.
We're eventually going to come at it from the human side in a future season. But from the orc side, that's as far as we're going to go with this.
Yeah.
So we now come to a point where we're going to move on to what we were doing before before the whole thing with Ghazghkull, where we're going to work our way through the little separate events again. Because we're building up to stuff here. But you should know, Ghazghkull is still out in the galaxy organising whatever he's organising.
Right? Making plans.
That's exactly it. Yeah, round up a new horde, things like that. I want to take a minute to just ask, what did you think about Ghazghkull so far?
I'm not gonna lie, I think he's cool. He's become one of my. I don't know if it's just because we've gone like into depth with a character, like on the level that's, you get familiar with the character as per se, right? But he has become like one of my favorite characters to talk about here in Warhammer, because I mean he just is cool, like from being a little runt that got killed, that didn't get killed, that got killed again and brought back to life, like deformed and with like metal parts and shit, to being, I wouldn't say possessed, but suddenly get a awaken as per se, and then suddenly being just this badass who just takes on everything and everybody to freaking I mean I definitely think it's more of the just going in depth with characters. By the way, for the listeners right now, which is what we're going to be doing for the future of the seasons here. Like, obviously picking, but going more in depth with stuff like this, for example, with the orcs. So, I like him.
So, just
a wrong way to say I think he's cool. He's alright.
Cool.
That's a long way to say he's alright. Yeah.
While working around the topic, I'll mention it. Depending on what we're trying to look at, some seasons will be based on like a particular group or faction. Some seasons will be based on individual characters, because there are some characters that have like, hours upon hours of content purely about their storyline. So if you're like, oh, let's look at Chaos, there are a bunch of characters within Chaos that have massive spanning storylines. So we could look at those characters as an individual season. Yeah. Which is quite cool. Like, for example, if you wanted to know what Magnus's boys have been up to, there's two ways to look at that. You can look at the Thousand Sons, or you can look at oh god, what's his name? Why have I just blanked that?
Ryan, you are the Warhammer expert.
Araman, that was the fucking name.
Good. And that's why he's the expert.
Yeah, it was one of those things. I could have told you it was Araman any day of any week ever, but the second I had to think of it, it just disappeared out my brain there. So if we're looking at the Thousand Sons, we could either look at the Thousand Sons as a Chaos faction, or we could look at just Araman individually, because he has like an equal amount of storyline just about him. So, there's a lot to it. So, moving forward from our boy Ghazghkull, we actually jump forward 30 years from when the Second War for Armageddon began, to the year 971 of the 41st millennia. And we come to a little orc boy called Ghazghkull, which is a really stupid name.
We've talked about him before, right?
No, I think it's Shazdaka you're thinking of.
Probably. It's the same thing. Potato.
Yeah, it's basically the same. Yeah, no, we've definitely not mentioned Ghazghkull before. So, Ghazghkull was an evil son's mechanic. Right? One of the guys that like vehicles and going fast. And pretty early on, he ends up in the cult of speed, the people who are actually obsessed with going fast. And he gets himself a bike, and he customizes it heavily. And he dubbed the bike of Orkalypse.
Orkalypse?
Apocalypse. Like apocalypse, with an orc in the middle.
Porcalypse.
For the record, he only gets off of this bike to make repairs to the bike. Otherwise, he drives it endlessly. And he doesn't sleep much because he has a pretty severe drug dependency. So he just keeps himself high as balls to be awake all the time so he can just keep driving.
Sounds kind of like the average Uber driver in America. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Leaving that in.
I'm kidding. Cut it.
So, Ghazghkull famously managed to take down a warlord titan on his own with just him and his bike.
Okay, that's impressive.
It's very impressive because I don't know how you begin to do that. And he kept the skulls of the princeps that were controlling the titan. He has them mounted on his bike, permanently on fire.
Oh, nice. We have a thing permanently.
I assume he's just coating it in fuel all the time. I don't know.
But, like, surely there would be dust in the end, right? Or unless he'd, like, use some magic.
Yeah, it might be magic. Maybe he believes they're on fire, so they have to be on fire.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe he believes they're, like, just on fire, so everybody can see it, and there actually is on fire, but it's like magic fire. It's fine.
Yeah, that's probably it. That sounds right for Orks. That sounds like what Ghazghkull would do.
Yeah.
So, the main thing about this guy is that it's said that he plans to rally an army of orcs and travel, I guess, wage war from one side of the galaxy to the other. That's his plan. So, that's a nice little simple one about Ghazghkull and his crazy Ghost Rider bike. But we move forward a little bit further. We move forward to 976, this is 5 years later, to a guy called Gorbag. And this guy, this orc leader, turns up out of fucking nowhere, right? No one had ever heard of this guy until he turns up with an enormous fleet of ships, ravages the Imperial Navy in the Gothic sector, and then stole a Dominator-class cruiser, so a gigantic warship from the Imperial Navy, renames it to Gorbag's Revenge, and then just continues on to ravage more parts of the galaxy. Keep this guy in mind, he is important later.
I'm writing that behind my ear.
I don't know what that was meant to be, but I liked it.
I write it behind my ear. That's
okay,
saying,
right.
No?
I'm with you.
Wait, but that only works for the people watching, not for the people listening. I signaled that I would write it behind my ear.
Okay. I'm glad you explained that because I had no idea what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah, it must have looked stupid actually when I think
it
about it.
Like, I had no idea what was going on. And,
please watch us on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, it's much more reasonable when we do stupid shit like that.
Yeah, that's context then.
So a year later, we move on to the next person that does something worth talking about, which is Deathskull Big Mech Fragrack, the Planet Smasher.
Oh, that's...
Now, that is an apt name at best. Alright?
Yeah.
Basically, you gotta remember that Deathskulls are the ones that like ransacking battlefields, right? They loot the dead. They are loot goblins, as you explained them.
Yeah.
So he decides he wants to loot an entire planet at once.
Yeah.
And rather than going to war and ravaging the planet, what he does is he straps a bunch of like rockets and stuff to a planet's moon and launches the moon at the planet itself.
Bruh.
Naturally, this destroys both the moon and the planet, turning them both into what is essentially just an asteroid field.
Yeah.
Fragrack then decides to pick the asteroid he likes the best of the remains of those planets, then straps rockets to it, a shield generator, and weapons batteries, and uses it as a spaceship, and just sends it through the galaxy to go wage war and blow up other planets. Absolute psychopath.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And I think the last one we're going to mention today is a few years later in 978 of M41. This is possibly the funniest story about orcs, because it is very quintessentially orcs. So, there is a warlord named Ghazghkull, right? And he decides to head his army towards the Morlock system and to ransack the place. Pretty standard orc stuff so far. Naturally, to get there, they use warp travel. And as you'll remember, warp travel is kind of a guess, because time and space don't work right in the warp.
Yeah.
And when he emerges from the warp, he realizes he has emerged before he left.
Yeah?
Right? He has technically traveled backwards in time through this warp jump. Now, one of the things you can know about Ghazghkull is he is a famed kleptomaniac.
Yeah.
And he gets this idea that he could go steal his favorite gun from, the doppelganger he has from before he left and have a spare of his favorite gun.
Oh.
Yeah. So he hunts down his earlier self, kills him, and takes the gun.
But doesn't that, the time-space continuum, doesn't he automatically die then? Because that, the thing is never been born, that kind of vibe, right? Isn't that the thing now?
Well, this is the thing, is that no one actually knows what ended up happening to this guy.
Bruh, I can't. Oh my god.
We just know he went and he killed himself to take the gun from himself. But we don't know what actually happened because of that. He might just be in some kind of temporal loop of constantly doing that over and over again.
Yeah, of constantly killing himself.
Yeah. I feel like that was a good one to leave off with for today.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm gonna think about that every night now.
I'm gonna go talk to my missus about this. What is the point in having an astrophysicist living with you if you can't question her about orc physics?
Exactly.
Right?
And Ryan will give us an update next week.
Yeah, I'll give you a wee update about what she says next time. See if we can figure out what the hell actually happens with this. So we are coming towards the end of the whole orc thing. We do have a couple more larger events to deal with. But we are getting through it. Yeah, we're definitely past the halfway mark, which is quite cool.
Nice.
We will see more of our boy Ghazghkull, don't you worry. He's coming back.
Good stuff. I'm happy to hear that.
There's a few of them that we've mentioned already that are coming back, actually. Which should be good fun. Yeah. But I think that's a good place to leave off for us today. Would you like to round out?
I sure can do, buddy. So, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry.
Why did you say it like that?
Buddy? I don't know. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode of Season Quinky of the Iterators of the Imperium podcast on Orks. And it's been me, MEZ, and Ryan, and we will see you next week. Take care and peace.
Bye.